I want to tell y'all a little story. It's been a couple years in the making, maybe a little longer than that, really. Let me give you the backstory here. I've told my students, my high school students, if you see me in town, feel free to say hello to me. But if you don't want to talk to me, you don't have to talk to me. I will never come say the hello to you first and force a conversation upon you that maybe you don't want to have. You may not like me. You may not like my class. You may not want to acknowledge me outside of school. I said, when we're at school, if I see you in the hallways, I'll nod to you. I'll tell you hello, all that. But when we're outside of school, if you don't say hello first, I'm not going to say hello either, because I'm going to assume maybe you don't want to associate with me for whatever reason. And that's fine. I get it. I'm a very introverted person. I'm very shy. I may not want to talk to people outside of work, and so that's fine. I'm not going to force that on you. So I've told my students that. Now, every so often I'll go to different places, fast food restaurants, other stores where my students may be working, Walmart. You never know. I'll have a student or a former student that will see me and say hello to me, which is wonderful if they do that, especially if it's a former student, that I get to see, how they're doing, that sort of thing, get, caught up on their life. And, that's wonderful. But I've got this one student that I taught one of her cousins previously and worked at the same place. When I would see that cousin, she would always say hello to me. Then I taught this girl. I did not know they were cousins. She was not the best student in the world. She didn't come to class very often. And if she did come to class, she was probably going to sleep in class. And after my first year of teaching, I found out that so many of my students had things going on in their home life that sometimes they needed to sleep more than they needed to learn in my class that day. So after my first year of teaching, I stopped waking students up if they were asleep in my class, unless I knew the situation and I knew they needed to be awake. But if I didn't know, then I would let them sleep. So this girl doesn't come to class very often. She sleeps a lot. I let her sleep because I don't know what's going on. At this time, I didn't know who her cousin was. I extend some grace to her to, help her get through some of the missing assignments, let her make up things. And, she manages to pass the class and graduate and move on with her life. Wonderful. Okay. I find out the next semester I teach another one of her cousins. And that's when I found out that they were all related and they all worked at the same place. Okay, that's kind of interesting, Got a little family thing going on there at that little restaurant. I go through there one day, go through the drive-through to get a burger that I really like. I go through the drive-through. There's this girl. I hand my card to her to pay for it. I recognize her. She acts like she doesn't even know me. So I'm kind of looking at her. Probably looking at her a little too intently, because I've always had students, if they see me, they'll say hello. This is the first time one has actually taken me up on not saying hello to me. So I'm kind of looking at her thinking, did she sleep so much in my class that she doesn't even recognize me? She didn't see me enough? I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at her. She's not saying anything. That gives me my card back. I take it. She still doesn't say anything. I guess she just really doesn't like me, or actually forgot who I was. I don't know. But I take my card to the next window. I pick up my food. I go on about my business and just think, well, that's odd. But hey, it is what it is. That happens maybe another time, maybe a couple more times. I don't know. This semester, I have a student who has the same last name as that girl. And it's not Smith or Jones. And so I'm thinking, I wonder if they're related. So I asked her, and she said, yeah, that's my sister. Since her sister and her two cousins worked at the same place, I kind of was joking. I said, do you work there too? And she said, yeah. So I thought it was a joke. No, the whole family works there, apparently. So, or at least the kids do. And I was just trying to get to know the students because this was early in the semester. And so I was telling her about her sister not saying hello to me in the drive-through line. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it was, but she just acted like she didn't know me. I'm just kind of making a joke of it. Not a big deal. I'm just making a joke out of it. Okay, no big deal. A couple months go by, 2-3 months. Yeah, about 3 months have gone by. And that brings us up to yesterday. Yesterday, I was having a terrible day. I mean, I was in a bad mood. Day started off okay. It wasn't perfect. It was okay. But then I had this meeting, and the meeting just kind of went sideways. And after that, I was in a rotten mood all day long. The entire rest of the day was just, in a lot of ways, was just terrible. Um, I'm one of those people that I dwell on things that I shouldn't dwell on. And so I was dwelling on how this meeting went, and it bummed me out for the rest of the day. I don't think from lunchtime on, I don't think a smile crossed my face at all for anything. I was just in such a bad mood. Not mad, just really frustrated, just down in the dumps, just a rotten mood. My family is out of town, which is probably a good thing because it means I didn't have to be a dark cloud hanging over them. So that probably worked in my favor, and it allowed me to just kind of mope around in my own, bad attitude. Come supper time, I've eaten the leftovers out of the house, and I thought I'm going to go get one of those hamburgers I like. So I go there, I go through the drive-through line, pull up to pay for the meal, and there's that girl again. There's a bar across where the window is. There's a kind of a bar at the top of the window. It's kind of blocking her face about like this. So not that bad. I mean, it's like, like that. So I can see most of her face, but there's a bar through it. Hair color's the same. I'm kind of looking down below there to see if that's her, and trying to tell. And I glance down at her name tag, and it's her. It's my former student. There's a guy standing behind her. There's a guy standing to her left, and she's kind of talking with them. And then about the time I'm looking at her name tag, she turns back towards me, kind of sticks her head down a little bit just below that little bar and says, "Hey, Mr. Stanley." Kind of surprised me. And I just quickly and shortly, I just said, "Hey," you know, didn't say anything else. I was just surprised she acknowledged me. And it wasn't like a, "Hey, Mr. Stanley." I mean, she said, "Hey, Mr. Stanley." Like she was, in a good mood. And it just took me by surprise. I just said, "Hey," back to her. She asked me if I want my receipt. I said no. I took my card. I go to the next window, and as I'm driving up to the next window, I'm thinking, next time in class when I see her sister, I'm going to tell her sister about this, that she finally told me hello. I get up to the next window. I look in there to see if it's somebody I know, and I don't immediately recognize the person in there. And so I kind of turn back looking forward, and I hear, "Hey, Mr. Stanley." So I look back again, do a double take, and it is her sister there. I'm used to seeing her with her hair down. This time her hair was in a ponytail. She had the cap on for her job and totally changed her appearance. So I didn't even recognize her. So I told her, I said, "Hey, I didn't recognize you with the hat on." And I said, "I was just thinking that next time I see you in class, I'm going to have to tell you that your sister finally said hello to me." And she said, "I know. She just told me." So they either hollered across the room or they could talk through the radios or something. I don't know. But it was something that seems kind of odd. But it let me know that the younger sister told the older sister about my conversation with her in class and me talking about the older sister not saying hello to me. And so there's that. And she apparently didn't get offended. I didn't say it in a bad way. I was just, getting to know students. But that must have stuck with her. And it kind of became a thing that, oh, I need to say hey to Mr. Stanley now. Well, just so happens that I'm there they're both there. And it just so happens to be on a day that I'm having a dirty, no good, rotten day. And I've got these two students, one current student, one former student, and both say hello to me. And it brightened my day. It may be a stupid, small thing, but it brightened my day. The part that brightened my day was really that a student that in the past has acted like she didn't even know who I was said hello to me and then told her sister, before I even got to the next window, told her sister, I said hello to Mr. Stanley. And I drove away with a smile on my face. And I had been dwelling on how bad this meeting went earlier in the day. And now on the drive home, I'm thinking about how this small act kind of changed everything. And that's kind of a lesson that you can have a terrible day and a small little act can make everything different. Doesn't matter whether it's a student, a stranger, whoever. If you're nice to somebody, they can be having a rotten day and you can change that. Just by being nice to someone, you can change the whole perception of their day from being something bad to something good. With everything going on in the world these days, we need more people helping others to have a good day. And so that's just something that was a small little thing, but it's something that I thought I would tell y'all about and encourage y'all to be nice to the people you meet, whether you know them or not, because they may be having a bad day and you may be the person to turn that around and help them have a good day. Y'all go out and have a good day.